There are a lot of opportunities when it comes to bringing a TTRPG to your gaming table. And for every day that's going by, that is growing exponentially. And whether that's coming from the major game publishers or, in my opinion, the great successes of Kickstarter and independent gaming companies really entering the fray, I don't think it matters on the notoriety because so many gaming tables are just pushing back when it comes to bringing a new game to them. And I think the most popular reason is there's a lot of people that have just entered the TTRPG realm. And maybe they've only played one game, and we all know what that game probably is. I hate you! And they've become so connected to the nostalgia and the comfort zone that game made them feel and are void to accept that there's a lot better options as a possibility. But you can tell them that 8 times over. What matters is if you're going to bring a game into your table, the GM has to be confident in what they want to bring forth. Don't make it a suggestion and then just kind of hope they go for it. You want to put your investment and your time to show that you care about this game system, that it's fun, and you're excited to bring it to them. And that's the first steps into it. Fortunately, Fabula Ultima does a fantastic job of marrying both the gaming table of players and the GM that allows bringing the responsibility to everyone, but in such a fun way. And that is why in this session of How to Fabula Ultima, we're going to go into a delve on some of the GM tips and also some of my insights. Now, as always, before I jump into my video, I just want to take a quick minute to give a shout out to those people that are continuing to grow in numbers and giving me their views, giving me their likes, and subscribing to the channel. And while all of that is awesome and it helps with the analytics, the thing I love the most is the comments. I love the insights of their experiences as they played. I love the questions of being asked to bring out for new videos or just simple hopes I will answer some small questions. I love being able to be a beacon of information to this game. I love knowing that this community is growing, and I love even more that these people who are new to this game are showing interest, and I'm hopefully putting part in that growth of intrigue. And on top of that, I want to give a couple of shout outs to people that have given me awesome compliments. There's nothing that I love more than hearing that my videos have been on repeat, like while they're working and listening to it to help learn the game while taking that time to see if they're interested in it. That's the reason, that's my mission statement to this video. So that being said, let's jump back into my video where we're going to go over some GM tips and some personal insights I have of what I went through when learning this game on my own. As we jump in, I think it's important for me to slap a disclaimer on real quick of what Fabula Ultima isn't before we jump into anything else of my insights. And the reason for that is I want to be as transparent if you're interested in this game. And first and foremost, this is not a war game. It's not a tactical battle map based game where a lot of people do that in Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons, even though there's some people that use Theater of Mind and they may be more willing to be acclimated to this style if that's the case. But at front value, there is not anything that is to that level. If you're also looking for a lot of crunch like in Pathfinder or maybe Shadowrun or other games like that, you're not going to find this here. Fabula Ultima is a rules-light system that is really minimalized, but in a very fantastic condensed way. And I personally think when you learn the game, you can do so much with this game with the little they require of you versus what so many other games try to do with much more and making it crunchy. Now, that's not to say there isn't room for those games or anything. I love those games, but not as much as I love finding this system and it giving me so much to chew on without having to just do taxing, crunchy battle prep. So if you can live with that, I welcome you to what is probably my most favorite game of all time and will continue to be so as we go forth in this world. So I have one more disclaimer before we really jump into it, and that's for me to let you know that I am not going thumb to thumb through the GM Toolkit book that is right here. As you can see, it's pretty thin. There's not a lot to it, but there is a lot to it at the same time. But there's also the core rule book here, and if you can see, there's color notches right here. I believe this section right here, the thinner one, is the GM section of the book. And my point being is there is a lot to help you, but there's not a lot to overwhelm you. And I want you to understand, if you're jumping into this game, the core rulebook is probably the best book I've ever read coming in as a GM. And if you're new to GMing any TTRPG, this is my recommendation of trying a game because it really helps you understand. The rules are not demanding. And on top of that, there's so many options and encouragements to let you know it's okay to make a mistake. It's okay when this happens. It tries to preemptively lower your expertise and not think that failure is going to be the end of your game. Now, when you're ready to present this game to your players, it's of course important to let them know that Fabula Ultima is a TT JRPG. And all that is a TTRPG system that is melding with the grand, heroic, fantastical, large traverse worlds of a retro to contemporary Japanese role playing game. And it really doesn't matter the era of its success. I just use those examples because there's so many successes that you can use examples for their tropes, their settings, their heroes, their villains. It's not a game system that's really going to shun you for taking tropes because that's what JRPGs are. And by certain aspects, a lot of animes do the same thing. So even if you're not part of the JRPG realm and you like anime, you can use that as kind of the skinning of your world. Either way, it's not about just making sure it is a JRPG, but it takes a lot to make it takes a lot from those games to build this theme. So I've presented a little bit of understanding of the ideology of Fabula Ultima of trying to be this JRPG game. And that should be enough to invoke some excitement. But when it comes to the game being started, and I just brought this up a moment ago, talking about there being different settings, that starts with the world building section. And I'm not going to go into the world building part itself. I'll make an own video for that. But this is an underlining tone of you understanding that there is a lot of control that old TTRPG GMs are used to having being vacated when it comes to their world building, to their injections of narrative, to a lot of things. This becomes part of the table, not just your responsibility as a GM. And I will admit, when I first started reading this, at first I was like, ooh, I don't know how I'm going to handle this. Like I didn't really, I'm not a control freak by any means, but I'm so used to keeping things close to my chest and all that stuff. But then I started playing the game and people started to help. They are so much more interested in the world that they're playing in when they get to inject things and you get to use that either for them or sometimes against them. But it's worth knowing that you are a part of a greater picture working together. And the moment you start working out of your comfort zone of controlling everything and giving some of that responsibility to the players, it is such a relieving situation. And you can do so much of a minimal approach to this game because that's what this game tries to do. So, first piece of advice, be ready to let go of your control in certain avenues. Now, hopefully, I haven't scared off the traditional GMs when I said they need to vacate control. What I mean by that is, I'm not removing your agency on the players and player characters. I'm not saying you need to remove the impacts of your villains or anything like that. You just need to be ready to make changes, be ready to adapt, but also not just change things so it seems like there's a small distraction, but then you still force your narrative on it. That's not what I mean. You need to be able to be open minded and invite the players to kind of build the progression as they go. And that's the biggest thing when it comes to when you're bringing players into your game. Have confidence that they're going to be creative people, that they're going to be excited by this exploration and sharing this responsibility of creating the world. Because I know I just said it earlier, the one thing I've seen that has been the most impactful versus other TTRPGs is when the players have gotten to create origins and create uh, backstories that involve things that are part of the world. They are so much more invested than when you try to come up with this huge tome of things you've come up with and try to put it on them. They're not going to give a crap about your back end. They want to be part of it. So I always suggest invoke creativity and invite it with encouragement and praise. So now that I've put it out that the GM is not the controller of everything and that they hold more of a social responsibility of inviting the players to bring more to the table, it's worth noting that you get to put in kind of what you want as well. You can have stuff on the back end ready to be put in. I'm not saying just be ready to improv everything, but be ready to adjust the implications or the effects or the injections that you have because they have the power to do that if they have the resources. But what you have that they don't is infinite resources to inject story, to inject conflict, whenever, whatever you want. What is not your responsibility is to control rules, take away rules that favor the players, or anything like that to make things more difficult. If you're getting to the point where your frustrations are built off of the rules as written of taking away your control, I'm going to tell you straight up this is not the game for you. But what I'm also trying to tell you is this game trains you to better be a better GM, be more accepting, to be more creative, to invoke improvisation, and be your players' biggest fans. And you can do that by stop worrying about everything you're trying to bring in always and focus what they're doing. Support them. See what classes they're multi-classing in to have items on Big Treasure. This is you giving everything they want to be heroic, and then you trying to also be the unstoppable force. Now, as I try to wrap this video up, I want to give a little bit of an apology because I'm usually confident in the pacing and the intent of my videos when I release them to you all. And at the beginning, I gave you the understanding that I was going to give you my GM site, which I gave you plenty of, and then a little bit of an inkling of maybe going over some actual mechanical showcase of that. Well, I did not do that in the actual showcase of the book I have here. So I feel I will do another video in that aspect. But what's more important to me is if you are considering running this game as a GM, or if you are a veteran GM from other games, this game is a different animal in the sense that it changes perspective of how to be more welcoming, encouraging, to be creative. It welcomes improvisation, and even more, I think it helps new GMs as a whole to be better GMs in any other game they want to run. And if you're a new player, the people that are more reserved and maybe feel they're not creative or they feel like they're being put on an unwelcome spotlight in other TTRPGs, if they're new to that, this game changes that perspective as they get to be creating with their friends. They get to create as a group. And I feel it really dispels a lot of those new player habits that are usually a little bit of a hindrance to them having fun. So please take this video with good intent and know that I always got references and got your back if you've got questions. So until then, I hope you have a good day. I hope you have a great night, and I hope you are excited to play some Fabula Ultima.